We are in Miami this weekend, y'all, for UFC 314. Me and D Rose are here to give you our picks and predictions, break down all of it. We got some more stuff to cover. Let's get into it.
Step in the ring, feel the adrenaline rush, throwing fists and kicks, the pain we can't hush, and then they fight us. We're the real tough guys, breaking down barriers, we aim for the skies. Into the octagon like a warrior I stand, train blows, taking hits as I command. The art of combat, I'm ready to go. Submission, knockout, that's how I flow. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with my golden octagon. The stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with my golden octagon. The stage we ignite.
And we are live. Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D Rose.
And what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. My name is Matt. D Rose is on that side of the screen, and we are here to talk about UFC 314, Alexander Volkanovski versus the up-and-coming Diego Lopes. Before we get to that, we got some UFC news to cover, and we're going to recap this past weekend's UFC Vegas 105, give you our thoughts and recap on that. It should be an all right one. It was an all right pair of some fights this past weekend and some good fights this upcoming weekend. With that being said, hope you all are having a fantastic evening. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for your boy, D Rose. How you been over this past week, my guy?
Things have been great over here, man. This past weekend it was a little bit of a dud to say the least, but I mean, we were kind of expecting that going in. So, it was kind of, hey, get this weekend over with, so that way we can go ahead and get into this next weekend coming up. It's a banger of a pay-per-view card, so I'm definitely excited for that. I got absolutely smoked on my bets again last week. Of course, missing by one leg or so. And you know what? I'm tired of it. So we're going to come in this week, and we're going to be packed with some heat. And, we're going to come in on Friday on Change the Cheddar, and we're also going to provide some heat for you this week. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling we're gonna have a good week, man. I
like
really
the energy you're bringing, D Rose. That's what's up, man. Getting me all hyped up. That's what's up, dude. Hell yeah. Let's get into the chat, dude. We got Austin in here with the Que Pasa Vatos. What's going on, Austin? How you doing tonight, my brother? We got Dave in here with the L'Oreal essay. We got Antoine here with the Yo Boys. My favorite weeknight. Always appreciate you, Antoine. You are that guy. You are too kind, man. Thanks for stopping by here always. Oi, D Rose must be running late pushing keys. Unfortunately, we did not have the best card last Saturday. Yeah. Not the best card, but some good talking points coming out of the card, nonetheless. They're either late from D-Rose slanging Kias or Matt putting on 7 t-shirts over Matt OBS messing up again. Yeah, maybe they just got stuck on the shitter. Who knows? Yeah, me and D-Rose chatting a little bit. We were talking a little bit of basketball before we got started. We know y'all don't really care about basketball, so it is what it is. We in here, Gene Silva Bark. D-Rose got the strap on the chair this week. Yeah, unfortunately, I I did not win the pick champ this week.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately. Dun,
Yes,
dun, dun,
sir.
dun. There we go. We in here. And D-Rose, please tell me you watched some of the Lakers Mavericks. Look at 31 in the first half. We were just talking about it. And so on.
Yep, pretty salty, of course, but hey, what can we do? I'm not the GM, unfortunately. And unfortunately, Mark Cuban isn't either, because Mark Cuban would have never made that trade. But that's a story for another podcast. This is about the UFC. This ain't about the NBA. I'm not trying to open up all these old wounds.
Yeah, with that being said, we got some UFC Vegas 105 to recap. Unfortunately, I'm going to be eating some beans this week because I'm obviously no pick champ over here. We got some UFC news and fight announcements to go over. We're going to make our preview picks and predictions for this upcoming weekend's fights, UFC 314 in Miami. And then we got our podcast play of the week. We hit the one last week, D-Rose. We hit the one last week. So banged it. We are back. We are back rolling this week. So, we may not have won any big bets, but the podcast play of the week does hit, even that D-Rose decides he wants to add another leg, so he don't hit it. But, technically it hits. It hits. But
I don't know why I did, man. I got greedy. That's what I said. I got greedy, man. Terrible.
Can't do that, man. Can't do that. We got Joe in here. What's up, boys? How you doing, my guy? Austin's an MMA and golf guy, maybe bowling. Who do you think you are? I am. Yeah, dude, I have fun going bowling, dude. That's one of the things that me and my fiance do is tend to go bowling every Monday or Tuesday, something like that. So I've been trying to break that 200 mark, but I'm ass, dude. That's pretty funny. I'm from Atlanta. We traded Luka for Trae Young on draft night. I love Trae, that leads the league in assists right now. And we got Manny in here with the what's going on, yo? What's going on? All right. Let's go ahead and get in the show. All right, D-Rose, this past weekend, let's go ahead and recap UFC Vegas 105. How do we do this? I guess let's just run through it. I'll just give you my thoughts and opinions on the fights, and then I'll just pass it over to you. Main event, Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett, dude. This fight pretty much went how I thought it was going to go, except for maybe Lerone Murphy is a little bit more clean defensively than I remember him being. Like, it's almost like he's just ever improving every single fight because, Dan Ige kind of lumped him up a little bit. And, Josh Emmett didn't even get close, dude. Like Lerone Murphy was just keeping him at distance the entire fight. Those, deep kicks to the knee, just keeping Josh Emmett back. Maybe blew out an ACL. Who even knows? But does 145 have their own Leon Edwards? Maybe, dude. He's undefeated, but I don't know when he's going to get a title shot, man, because let's not pretend like it's the most fun style in the world. He's just a good fighter. And from that fight specifically, one thing stood out to me is dude, Josh Emmett's not going to win a fight unless you're willing to stand there and throw with him. And then just going back, that's pretty much how he's won every single fight. You have to be willing to throw with him. If you're not willing to throw with him, dude, you're just going to frustrate him. He's going to be chasing you around the octagon the whole time. And that's what happened. So Lerone Murphy does win via decision. You got anything on the main event here, man?
Yeah, I just thought that, being a Josh Emmett fan, it was kind of disappointing because, as you said, Lerone Murphy was pretty much clean the whole entire time. Josh Emmett might have landed a couple of shots here and there. I didn't really think the performance was boo-worthy. I mean, I know it was most of Josh Emmett's family and friends that they said were the ones that were dominating the stands when they were taking the fight. But, I didn't think it was boo-worthy. Was it the most exciting fight? No. And does Lerone Murphy have the biggest personality, or does he have the biggest punch? Or he doesn't have one big weapon, but he's just a very well-rounded fighter. And he is a good fighter, but I am with you in terms of Leon Edwards and to say that he's going to have to take that type of path to get to the title. It's going to have to be 10, 11 wins in a row before, the UFC is going to give him a chance because he just doesn't really seem to wow the fans that much. And 145's got, even with Taporia leaving, a lot of contenders up there. So if Lerone Murphy wants to seriously contend for the title, still think it's going to take a couple more, but it was still a good performance against Josh Emmett, a guy who's always dangerous. And, it was a good step forward for him in the rankings. but he's still a little bit of ways to go before a title shot.
Yeah, man. All right, fair enough. So moving on down, co-main event, Pat Sabatini, Joe Anderson Brito. I guess this fight happened at a perfect time to lead into this weekend because how good is Diego Lopes, dude, to just come out there and smoke Pat Sabatini in round number 1. I know Damon Jackson did that as well, but there was some outside motivations going into that fight. You know, that was the weekend that I believe his brother passed away, you know, so I don't think anyone was beating Damon Jackson that night. He just came in there with a fire. But yeah, Pat Sabatini, dude, control Joe Anderson Brito, dude. Literally 14 minutes and 35 seconds of that fight. Like maybe 25 seconds of that entire fight may have not been on the feet, dude. I mean, may have not been on the ground, dude. And Brito just seemed to be so frustrated, but not have an answer on how to get up, dude. It's like he was trying, but Pat Sabatini was controlling him so well on the ground. And his training partner influence showed there because that was the exact performance that Sean Brady put on Leon Edwards, dude. I mean, he just no answer for how to get up. So, you know, shout out Pat Sabatini, controlled Joe Anderson Brito in the most boring shit all night, but well, not all night because we did get Sabatini'd and we did get Finney'd all in one night. So, anything on the co-main event for you, man?
You pretty much said it all, except for the fact that this was the absolute shit breaker that busted all of my bets.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so confident in Joe Anderson Brito going out here and smoking Sabatini. Like I was putting Brito by KO in parlays. Like I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to get the job done.
Sounds like me.
No problem. Yeah, like dude, like I sent you one of them, and I had like a couple of them with him, just money line. I was so confident, and yeah, to watch that fight go the way it did. As soon as Sabatini took him down in the second round, I stopped watching it. And then like I kind of had it on my phone, but like kind of wasn't looking. I was watching basketball on TV. And then in the third round, when Brito went for the guillotine and he got the sweep and he ended up on top and he's still holding the guillotine and Sabatini just flips him right over. I was like, okay, yeah, it's over. I was like, absolute BS. So yes, that busted all the bets that I had, man. I was so upset.
Yeah, man. All right, let's kind of speed through these real quick. Chang Ho Lee gets the second round TKO over Cortavius Ramius, dude, and he deserved to lose that fight because it's like he would re-grapple after being out of the bad position. He would go back down, get grappled again, get swept, and then just end up back on the bottom. It's like this was another one for me personally. I was big on Cortavius Ramius until weigh-in day, and he also missed weight and was way smaller. I was like, shit. But he had multiple chances in that fight to win, to be winning, or to win. And he just made the dumb mistake of, oh, let me just go back down in this dude's guard. He would get swept every single time. So, you know, it's Cortavius Ramius' fault. The Harry Potter spell. It's his fault, the reason that he lost that fight, because he had the tools to win that fight 100%. Anything on that one, man?
Yeah, I thought it was a fun fight. This was another one that I think me and you both were confident on, but yeah, that definitely ended up not going the way that I thought. I mean, I thought it was a fun fight, and Cortavius Ramius, ended up putting up a good fight. And Chang Ho Lee, I think he showed me a little bit of something too, that his ground game is, he's a serious threat moving up. So
yeah, they were calling him the Korean Khabib, and then like I heard in the interview, he was like, "No, I'm the Korean Machine now. Call me K Machine." so he wants to be compared to Khabib and now Merab. So I mean, good fighter.
Yeah, no, a fun fighter and a fun fight that for that fight too. So yeah, that for a card that didn't have many, good fight.
Yeah, man. My side of the parlay podcast parlay of the week, Brad Tavares 3 or decision. Not gonna lie, wasn't the easiest thing because there was a few moments in the fight where I'm like, I'm just seeing Brad get touched up. I'm like, oh no. But Brad Tavares does win via decision, as we thought. Anything here?
Yeah, no, just it's as clean a performance as we thought. We thought, as you said, it got lumped up a couple times, but Brad Tavares held in there for, we knew Mearshart wasn't going to knock Brad Tavares out by any means, and I thought that was going to be the best chance for him to get Brad Tavares down to the ground, ultimately where GM3 wanted it. But good performance from Tavares.
Hell yeah. The one saved me from getting triple beam this week was Ode Osborne versus Louis Garule, because once again, Martin Buday versus Kennedy did fall off. That one, I was so confident in Martin in that fight, and he ends up getting another fight on the card we didn't even talk about, but he ends up winning that fight via decision, and looked not the best doing so against the light heavyweight, to say the least. But anyway, Ode Osborne smokes Louis Garule, second round knockout, dude. Yeah, I had Ode Osborne money line in a few places, and I had Ode Osborne 3 or decision. I also had this fight to start round 2 in a few places. So my Ode Osborne 3 or decision bets all fell out because he gets a second round knockout. But Ode Osborne keeping his place on the UFC roster, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that, I did pick against him this past week, but, I normally pick him in a lot of his fights. I picked Ode going into the Lazy Boy fight, and I thought the knockout that he had against Garule was very similar to the way that he had knocked down Lazy Boy in their first fight, or in that fight. And Ode Osborne had mentioned that, in the Lazy Boy fight, he went for the finish too quick and kind of burned his arms out. And he punched,
like he woke him back up.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. He punched him and woke him back up, and that he wanted to make sure that he didn't make the mistake that he jumped on him too early, and then he was able to kind of find the position, get the knockout. So good performance from Ode Osborne, and a guy who I'm a fan of for the most part. Good performance, good knockout, and keep that roster spot.
Yeah, talking about another performance right here. Let's move on down to Torres Finney versus Robert Valentin, dude. This fight, so Torres Finney basically holds Robert Valentin for 3 rounds, dude, and I think he landed 4 to 7 punches the entire fight, dude. Like 7 significant strikes the entire fight. So Rob Valentin landed way more punches. Kept standing up, kept defending takedowns, but kept getting taken down and, kept getting controlled. So the fight overall was god awful, dude. And all week, everyone comparing Torres Finney to a fridge. Oh, he looks like a fridge. Well, he's about as entertaining as my fridge is. And that is not at all. Zero is how entertaining he is. So I was in agreement with Tony Weeks. Give Rob Valentin that win because, dude, the fight went to split decision, and Tony Weeks 30-27 Rob Valentine. So give me your thoughts and opinion on the fight and on the scorecard.
Yeah, the scorecard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, Tony Weeks, take a leap of faith, man.
I'm with it.
Hey, you did something that not a lot of other people would do. Maybe he becomes a trailblazer in the sense that, hey, maybe we get more fights scored like that if you see similar performances like you saw from Torres Finney. Now, I needed that win for the Pig Champ, so obviously, I don't want that scorecard to happen in the, for that particular fight. But in the future, I think there's something that you can say at least to say, hey, just because you're getting the takedown and you're getting top control doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the fight if you're not really doing anything with it besides just holding top control the whole time. So, I hated to see that Torres Finney, put up such a stinker. So you said he's about as entertaining as my fridge. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I open my fridge, I mean, I get pretty entertained. That's way more entertainment than I would have gotten sitting there and watching that Torres Finney fight this past weekend. Like, dude, I would just open my fridge and I would just look and I'd be like, oh man, look, I got some cheese. Oh wow, I got some leftovers. Oh wow,
some DP hot sauce.
Here's my favorite drink. Nah, we leave the hot sauce on the counter. We don't leave the hot sauce in the fridge. That's where we differ there. But hey, I got some ketchup.
I ain't eating either way.
yeah, we got some ketchup in here, man. I'm getting pumped because I got some stuff in my fridge. I ain't doing that for a Torres Finney fight. No way.
Fair enough. Antoine wants to know how much does Lerone Murphy have in his prime at 34? If he becomes champion, does he have a Bilal type reign from 35 to 38? For me, I think it's a Leon type reign that if he does get there, he might hold it for 1 or 2. How about you, Dearest?
Man, honestly, I just have a hard time seeing him win it. I mean, especially at the lower weight classes, like you've seen it at welterweight where you can get somebody coming in 35, 36 years old, like a Tyron Woodley, Bilal. Usman was getting up there by the time he was champion. You can see it in those weight classes. You don't normally see the lower weight classes like 155, 145, people who are 36, 37 years old. And there could be a chance that Lerone Murphy might not get a title shot until he's about 35, unless he's super active this year. I could see it being a long time. And if he doesn't get there before that 36 age, I just don't really see him having much of a reign if he even gets the title.
Fair enough. And then we got Travis in here, brother. I have been watching all your videos. I appreciate it, man. Hopefully they are, helpful to you. Got to support Taurus Fanny, fellow GA native. How do you guys feel about the controversy? I mean, we just talked about it. Like, fighters have to win to get both checks, and fans want to entertain. It's a sticky predicament. Yeah, I don't know. I just think a lot of people had more confidence that he was going to do more this weekend, I guess, and he just he didn't. Anyway,
well, you can make the argument that that was why Dana was so hesitant on bringing him in from the Contender Series, because there was a potential for a lot of that, just because he's so outsized, even though he's built like your backyard shed. Like he had such a height disadvantage against a lot of dudes. He's going to have such a reach disadvantage. A lot of his fights can go that way.
Yeah, man. All right, moving on down to the prelims. Probably the easiest money you'll make all of last week was Deanna Barboza round 1 sub. And I was kind of worried a little bit because the first 4 minutes of that fight, she was just striking with Deanna Belbita. I was like, oh no, she ain't even trying, dude. And then with a snap, grabbed the leg, took her down, put her in a head and arm triangle in from takedown to tap, it was like 10 seconds, dude. I was like, okay, cool. So Deanna Barboza gets it done. Part of our pick champ of the week here was Reese McKee, Daniel Frunza, dude. Reese McKee wins at the end of the first round. And this fight makes me sick because I had this fight to start round 2. And after the first ended, dude, I was like, holy shit. I let out a big gasp, like, holy shit, because they were swinging dicks back and forth, dude. Like, the knockdowns, dude's eye was all fucking swollen up. His lip was busted. I was like, all right, cool. Fight ended round 2. Ended round 1. We just need to start round 2. And then they zoom in on dude's face, and I was like, oh, they're not starting round 2. It was like Alistair Overeem's lip all over again, dude. Shit looked so gross. But I'll let you talk about this one since I know you had some money here.
Yeah. Well, of course I didn't hit on anything because unfortunately, I had it in a dumb parlay. But I did have Reese McKee by finish in one of my parlays, and watching that, watching them go back and forth. Reese McKee was standing there and he was throwing absolute heat with dude, man. And Daniel Frunza, I knew that he was kind of like a finisher, so he was going to go out there and really, as you said, slinging dicks with one another there in the first round, trying to get one another out of there. Reese McKee just looks sharp, man. He looks ready, and he looks like his back was against the wall fighting for a UFC contract. And I think, similar to like an Ode Osborne, that was a performance that he needed to really solidify his position in the UFC. Now, I think Reese McKee can potentially build on that. And let's not act like Daniel Frunza is some world beater by any means, but it was a good performance for Reese McKee. Go out there on a lackluster card, get probably what was the best fight, pretty good finish, sick results from, you got Dana White posting the shots of Daniel Frunza's face on his Instagram where his lip is busted up and everything. So, yeah, that was a good performance from Reese McKee to stay in the UFC. Hell of a fight. And yeah, I was oohing and ahhing the whole time I was watching it. It was a hell of a barn burner.
Hell yeah, dude. Moving on down, Loma Lookboonmee defeats Estela Nunez via decision. This one kind of burned me. I was heavy on Loma Lookboonmee round 2-3 sub, dude, and I don't know, dude. That fight ended up being a lot closer than what it should have been, to be honest. I didn't understand the split decision, but it is what it is. Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao, dude. This was your side of the podcast parlay of the week. Yeah, at first I was, kind of a little butthole pucker because Victor Henry was kind of dropping Pedro Falcao there in the first round, but then I think once the third round hit, I was like, okay, we're good. This shit's going to decision. Like, he just ended up on top and then just kind of rode out the round from there. Martin Buday versus Uran Saldi Baldiev, dude. Uran is a light heavyweight that took the fight on short notice. Dude, he might cause some problems down to light heavyweight, dude. He was undefeated before this fight. Kind of a big guy. So I'm interested to see what he looks like down at light heavyweight, dude. And then first fight of the night was Talitha Alencar versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Talitha Alencar wins via decision. Anything else on the rest of those, man?
No, that was I think you pretty much wrapped it up. Well, Victor Henry, I will say, good performance from him. That was a hell of a fight. And there at the end of the third round, dude, he was lumping Pedro Falcao up. Like, if you had Victor Henry by decision, that was definitely a limit booty time, man, because he was absolutely lumping Pedro Falcao up. I mean, Victor Henry looked really good. I mean, I think that might be his best performance to date in the UFC so far. And I think he's finished Huff High Sunset too, but man, he just looked really good this past weekend. I know he's a little bit older. I don't see any type of title aspirations or anything out of him, but a good fight, good performance, and, putting on performances like that, definitely going to be looking forward to a Victor Henry fight moving forward.
Fair enough, man. He's an all right fighter. I think it all depends on the matchup. So as we said to start the show, if you tailed the podcast parlay of the week with us, that one cashed this past weekend. So Victor Henry 3-or decision and Brad Tavares 3-or decision plus 198. And we already got another one cooked up for y'all this weekend. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move into the Eat the Beans. So I don't want to do this. Oh, man. Do I have a bag? I'm sick.
Let's go.
What kind of bag do I got here? I think this is Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble. Shout out.
Looks like a trash bag.
It just says thank you on it.
See, now I see those. Well, it's usually the red writing, but that's the ones you get from like the Chinese restaurant or something like that.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, good bag. Good sturdy bag. Should be able to hold a lot of throw up, dude. Man, I had some good dinner. I don't want to lose it. Let's see what you guys got to say. Also, Victor Henry, another 38-year-old fighter in his prime. They should push for him. Yeah, I don't know. Has anyone got a box of NYC yet? I have one to open. It'll be on the video in a couple weeks, man. So with that being said, pick champ of the week. The 3 fights were Daniel Frunza versus Reese McKee, where I went Daniel Frunza. D Rose went Reese McKee. Ode Osborne versus is it Dennis Garule?
Louis
Garule. Anyway, I went Ode Osborne. D Rose went Louis Garule. And the one for the tiebreaker was Robert Valentin versus Torres Finney, where if Tony Weeks would have been the 3 judges, I would have won it. But I went Robert Valentin. D Rose went Torres Finney. So D Rose is 2 out of 3. He wins pick champ of the week. You see the belt on his shoulder. I want to point out, though, D Rose, that if we just did all the fights, I won that. Just so you know. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, dude, I won 3 out of the 5 of that. Just
all we needed was the 3, baby. We were only doing 3, and that's all I needed.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, here we go. What beans will I get? D-Rose, do we make a bean theme song to play while this is going on? What flavor will I get?
Or
this
you could
week?
just play like some circus music, like dun, 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 dun,
What
dun.
flavor will I get this week? What do you think it's going to be, D-Rose?
How about an old visit or a visit from old buddy, old bandage,
Oh, God, no.
and you'll probably get a toothpaste. Because you seem to always get the luck of, if you do get one, you do normally get like a blue one, likely the toothpaste one to wash it down with.
All right, let's see what kind of music they got that I can play on here. We got rock, night drive, lo-fi, feeding the ducks, daydreaming, dance pop, or acoustic cinematic.
You definitely got to do feeding the ducks.
Feeding
gotta
the
do feeding
ducks.
ducks.
All right, here we go. Here we go. It's bean time, baby. It's bean time, baby.
The bean bop, okay. With the bean bop. Yeah, and you don't stop. Me and Matt, and we stay top on the UFC, and we can't stop. Hey, and we're here all night. Coming at you. Scary hours. It's a
All right. Here we go. Bean number one. God, what is this? Peach or barf or dead fish or strawberry banana. Here we go.
Yeah, your boy
Come
breaks
on.
out that too.
It's hard. As hard as a rock. I think it's peach. It's peach though. It's stuck all in my teeth, so I'm glad. I'm glad it's not get bad. So. As hard as a rock.
Yeah, dude, that's why I had to get some new ones too.
We got toasted marshmallow or stink bug. Neither one of these are good, so.
It's the bean bop. It's the bean bop. Yeah, and we can't stop. Hey. That was a perfect cut for the. That was a perfect cut for the music too.
Dude, it's in my fucking teeth. It's so nasty, dude. Cut the fucking music. Cut the fucking music. That's enough. No more music. Dude, I don't even want to close my mouth because my tongue is going to touch my teeth and it's going to be fucking nasty. Dude, I chewed it with my back teeth too. It's the worst. That shit's stuck in
Yeah, it's caked. It's caked in there too. Yeah, you're gonna have to get like you're gonna have to get one of my toothpicks over here and dig that bad boy out. I'm gonna have to
Oh god.
hit it with dig in there.
Oh god. Let's see what y'all got to say. We kind of missed y'all a little bit. Anyway, Matt needs some rotten egg bean. Don't do that to me, Austin. Play waste about 50. Yeah, we would get demonetized, man. Come on, Booger. Dave says bars and a freestyle from D-Rose. Gotta re-up on beans. Oh god, this is a vibe. All right. Dude, I gotta. Dude, you don't know how bad like I wanted to do like the Diego Lopes hair for tonight, but like my fiance would not let me cut it. She was like, "No, I'm not gonna let you cut it." Dude, it would have been sick. A little preview, dude. Come on, man.
You can still kind of. Yeah, I was gonna say you can still style it like that though. You don't have to necessarily cut it, but. Yeah, you can leave some up on the front, brush it over to the side. I fortunately don't have that to where I got to get wigs and stuff like that to do it with mine. So yeah, take advantage of them locks.
That was the plan, dude. That was the plan, was to have the sick Diego Lopes haircut. But at the same time, dude, my hair don't do that. My hair is not straight and flat, dude. My shit grows up, dog. like, like you probably like remember my hair from like our whole life fucking growing up. It was never very long because my dad, whenever it would get like this long, dude, he would always fucking cut it, dude. It's like he hated my hair, dude. I don't know what his issue was, but fucking as an adult, I'm like able to grow my hair out, and I'm like, I actually have decent, cool hair, you know.
I actually get to
anyway.
enjoy it. You know, dads back then, because I remember I wanted to get my ears pierced. My dad was like, "Oh my, you know, you don't need to be getting your ears pierced." But it was like don't want them to be like, you know, feminine type or whatever. But it's like I just wanted an earring because all the cool rappers were, you know, they had the big ass diamond studded earrings. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to be fly like that too. I ain't, you know. You know, if you get your right ear pierced first and all this stuff, yeah, get that out of here, man.
Yeah, I should have had me die with the music. The music really improved beat eating. This has got to be the new norm. Yeah, maybe I just create a bean eating song, or I just play that one. Just play that one. When did you guys?
That's the beanbop, man.
That's the bean bop. All right. When did you guys first grow facial hair? I grew beard when I was 16. Well, Antoine. So for me, I started working at Chick-fil-A when I was 14. So I always had to shave then. And then when I turned 18, I quit and I started working at Wendy's for like a few months. And then I joined the military, and I couldn't really grow a beard in the military. So pretty much after I got out of the military at 22 was the first time that I just didn't shave for like a few months, and I was able to grow a beard. It was awful, but I think 22 was the first time that I realized. But congratulations on growing your beard at 16, man.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, I pretty much had like, it's, you know, obviously filled in a little bit more now than what it was before, just in turn, and I keep it trimmed now too. But I would say around like 16, 17 was when it kind of started growing in really consistently. Like I didn't have the full face beard. Like you can see that I have like the 5 o'clock shadow where it grows in a little bit more now. I just keep this, you know, I keep the face clean. I just keep this trimmed down. But I say around like maybe like 16, 17, like I started, like my mustache started coming in full, and I was getting this. My big thing was that I couldn't get these to connect, and it took forever, but finally ended up growing and connecting, and I just kind of kept it at that.
Yeah. One day D-Rose going to fucking show up here with a full beard. Antoine's dad said, yeah, I wanted to dye my hair at 15. And his dad was born in 77. Super close-minded. Yeah, it makes sense. Oh man, which branch do you serve in? Thank you for. I appreciate it, man. I didn't do a whole lot. I was in the Navy, and started growing my beard in 7 months. Says Austin. Damn, Austin. You know, save some for the rest of the shit, dude. Anyway, so let's get into our UFC news and fight announcements. I don't have anything pulled up right now, D-Rose. So you want to start us off with anything, or?
Yeah, I saw where, and the fight is not necessarily happening because I didn't think the fight would happen, but that Aaron Pico, you know, in all likelihood has signed with the UFC. So
he did sign to the UFC. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he did sign to the UFC. So, you know, a longtime Bellator fighter who, you know, he was a phenom at 18 years old. I remember on that Bellator, I believe it was the Madison Square Garden card. It was like a big kickoff card for Bellator because they were trying to compete against UFC. It was a big pay-per-view they had. I think they had like Chael Sonnen versus Vanderlei. They had like Michael Chandler on the card fighting for his title. It was a big card, and Aaron Pico was making his pro debut. Like he skipped amateur and everything, made his pro debut on a big time card, got a win. He was like 18, 19 years old. He got like 2 or 3 more wins against some bums, and then they immediately threw him in there with like some of the best guys.
Like,
and he took
like Juan Archuleta.
Yeah, Juan Archuleta, and I mean, dude, Juan Archuleta's a killer. Henry Morales, you know, guys like that. Like he started going in there with some real hitters, and he kind of got the Cody Garbrandt effect where he was going in there, trying to go out there and, slinging dicks on one another, to use your expression again, slinging dicks with dudes out there, getting clubbed and not really using his game plan of being smart. Over his last few fights, he has improved that. And I think, in terms of sheer talent, this dude's one of the best sheer talents that has came into the UFC. So I'm definitely excited to see what Aaron Pico, can do. He's a great wrestler. He's got some submissions, but I mean, the dude's got knockout power. He was like, I believe he was an amateur boxer, and he was a wrestler in high school, and everything as well. Like, great wrestler in high school. So yeah, he's very talented, and I'm going to be excited to see Pico.
Indeed, man. Should be fun. Antoine, wow, was it like when you first got on the boat? I was pretty much like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? And did I have the white uniform? Yeah, I had all the uniforms, the dress whites, the dress blues, and they just change on the time of the year, man. And then Jay Wolf, been a minute, gents. Hope all is well. It sure is, Jay Wolf. Appreciate you stopping by tonight, my guy. And then it's massive because he's 28 years old, and he really has some times. He has the Golden Gloves boxing. Yeah, great boxer as well, as D-Rose pointing out. So yeah, let's get into it. Here we go. We got our first fight announcement here. This is for May 31st here. We got the anticipated prospect return. Oban Elliott is set to face Ramiz Brahimaj. That's at UFC Vegas 107. Thoughts on that, D-Rose?
I mean, that's a solid fight, but I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily...
I know you weren't too impressed with Oban, and then I think when he fucking knocked out fucking Basel Hafez, and you're like, you know what, he's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, he's solid. I guess, I don't know, he's maybe kind of like that Lerone Murphy effect to a certain extent. Like, he's solid. I mean, he just doesn't like.
He is a Cage Warriors guy, so makes sense.
Yeah, he just doesn't necessarily wow me. But yeah, he's a solid fighter. And like you said, that Basel Hafez finish, I remember because I think I had was it in round 3 that he had gotten it, and I think I had him. Yeah, and I think I had him in a bet round 3 or decision. So I was like, oh yeah, so he saved me there too.
Yeah, I just now clicked on this Yair Rodriguez picture because I wanted to ask you, did you have a chance to watch any media day today, D-Rose?
I did not catch up in any media day.
Oh man, when you get a chance, go watch Yair Rodriguez's interview, dude. He is basically sounds like a grade A hater on Diego Lopes right now. He's basically saying he don't understand why he's claiming Mexico when he's from like Brazil. Like, he's like from like fucking Mexico and he lives here, but he don't act like he's like American, like fucking this and that. Anyway, pretty much just sounds like a complete hater. That he's kind of mad that Diego Lopes getting the spotlight and getting embraced by the Mexican fans when they don't really like him that much. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Yair is so I want to hear his clip, in full context, just so I can understand everything. But I mean, to say that, Diego Lopes does train with Alexa Grasso and Irene Aldana. So, and I know, he is noted to be around Mexican fighters, and he fought on the Noche card as well. So I think that's another relation to where the fans watch him fight and, they can relate with him. He, had, he's a Spanish. They said he can speak Spanish, I believe they said.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes. I mean, he can relate to the fans as well. I don't see what necessarily the big deal is, but I'm not Mexican, so I can't speak on behalf of Mexican people. Maybe Yair feels like he is, but I mean, I think anybody could be a fan of Diego Lopes, but I can understand what Yair is saying to a certain extent, but I am with you in the most part to say, sounds like he's hating.
Being a hater, exactly. If Diego wins the belt, I think he will headline 320 in Guadalajara, Mexico for Noche UFC. Yeah, same. And if Yair wins, that would be a perfect fight to make too, right, D-Rose? Like, imagine Yair versus Diego in Guadalajara for Noche UFC 145 title, dude. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that would be,
sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about, trying to, make it big for that Noche card and for the Mexican fans, and Dana always talking about how he's been wanting to get back to the UFC Mexican fans, or the fans in Mexico in particular. That would definitely be a way to do it.
Yeah. We got we got Alexander Volkanovski's fight shorts came out. Dude, why are these like Greek inspired? Like, I don't understand that. Like,
I guess the great.
I mean, but all right. Like,
it wasn't the great from like somebody from the Romanian times or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Not my favorite one.
I think that's what it is, but I'm with you in terms of I don't really like them too much.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let you talk on this, but I'm gonna go grab something to drink. On the Spanish broadcast displayed on the television, Ilya basically said Spanish broadcast leaked that Ilya Taporia versus Charles Oliveira is going to happen. Last time this happened, it was on the French broadcast, and it was true. So, so you think this happens? And at UFC 317?
Well, I mean, I can see,
I'll let you talk. I'm gonna grab something to drink. I'll be right back.
Taporia did ultimately vacate the 145 belt to move up to 155. To me, it's hard to believe that Taporia would vacate the belt to move up to 155 and not necessarily have, the UFC's trust to say that he'll fight for the belt next. I don't know what I would be curious to see if it is Charles Oliveira is if they make it for an interim title. Maybe Islam takes a little bit of time off. I don't know if he's necessarily into that, at this point or whatnot. But let's say if they just do an interim title between Charles and Ilya, I could maybe see that. But I just don't see Ilya necessarily taking a fight when he moved up, and it's not for the title at 155. So, I mean, it would be an awesome fight, but I don't know, man. It's just hard for me to believe it right now because I think Ilya Taporia really seems to have a die set on the title.
Yeah, fair. For me, I think they're probably waiting on the outcome of the 170 title. Because I think if Jack wins, I think Islam moves up, and then Ilya fights for the vacant title. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right. So,
and that's where the interim title comes into play. So that makes sense. But there's a lot of dominoes left to play, so I can understand why they're kind of holding their water right now.
Yeah, man. You got your wish, man. We got Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France 2 in the works for UFC 317. What's your thoughts here, man?
Yeah, it should be an awesome fight, man.
Your guy.
Kai. Yeah, I was like, Kai coming in. I love the gift right there. I was just about to say, can you please pull it up? Because I was sitting here like laughing under my breath at it there just a second ago. Yeah, no, this should be an awesome fight. I think if there's anybody who can really pose a threat to Pantoja right now, it has to be someone who can hurt him, because Pantoja gets hit, but he doesn't get hurt. But I don't know if anybody at that weight class carries the power that Kai Kara France does. So if there is a chance that the reign can end, it could be now. Pantoja is just so good, man. So it's obviously going to be hard for Kai Kara France to get the job done as well-rounded as Pantoja is. But that's a hell of a fight, man, and I'm going to be excited for it.
Yeah, man. If Islam wins the welterweight belt, does it officially make him the greatest lightweight martial artist of all time? I don't think him winning the welterweight has anything to do with him being lightweight greatest of all time. Because if I want to be honest, he's beat Volk twice, and he's a featherweight. So, I mean, I have a hard time calling Islam the greatest lightweight of all time right now, currently. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's part of the reason why Islam is kind of like, hey, I want somebody who's more contested at 155 than Ilya, because if I beat Ilya, I'm beating another 145er. So I can understand Islam's point coming from that. I mean, I think you can make the argument in terms of just pure talent that Islam is the best lightweight of all time. Does he necessarily have the resume? Maybe not. But I think if you get one more win, I mean, I think one more win because he already has a title defense record. So he already has that. You get another win against another 155er. I mean, I think you can very easily call him the best 155er of all time. You know, regardless of, you know, how many times he's fought a 145 or whatever the case may be, it's who the UFC keeps putting in front of him. And, you know, all these guys keep missing fights or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, that's one thing I can say is when Islam has been scheduled to fight, man, he shows up and regardless of what he's going through, he fights. You know, his opponent drops out 24 hours notice. I mean, you got to give Islam credit for that, man. And, yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think I'd call him the best lightweight of all time. But that's just me.
Fair enough, dude. I don't hate it. Who at flyweight really beats Pantoja, and who would you guys and would you guys pick Cop to beat him? Yeah, I said this when he fought for the title. I'm like, I don't know who's fucking beating this dude because he's already beat everyone already. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You're still just laughing at that gif. Islam's definitely in the conversation. I just don't think anyone beats Pantoja. I think Pantoja is going to have to move up to 135 before he loses to anyone right now. Because even against Cop, I just think he's just able to take him down and control him. What about you, D-Rose? Does anyone beat Pantoja at 25 right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. I think if anybody, it's probably Kai just because of power. I mean, you got to get somebody who can actually hurt Pantoja, man. Because I mean, right? If you can't hurt him, you're not going to be able to take him down. You're not going to be able to out wrestle him. I mean, the best thing you can do is try to chin him. And I think Kai has the best power in the weight class, and you know, I think he has the best chance just because of that.
Yeah, and here's pretty much what I just said. Islam will move up to fight JDM at 170 if he defeats Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, I can see that, dude. Here we go.
Dude, how crazy jacked he was in that picture is absolutely nuts.
Yeah. We got June 28th, dude. Brandon Royval versus Manel Kopp. What's your thoughts on this? Same card, International Fight Week.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
They're going to be a backup there, huh?
Cobb keeps saying that he is not going to fight anybody else before a title, and then literally the very next week gets booked into another fight that is not for the title. So I don't understand what he's doing by trying to take this public stance of his title fight or bust, and then he ends up taking another fight anyway. I think with the controversy at the last fight that Cobb had, you just can't necessarily comfortably throw him in there to a title fight. So a fight with Royval does make sense, especially considering that Royval technically is the number one contender right now.
Yeah, man. We got another one, dude. The Black Beast still doing the damn thing. Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira set for UFC Nashville. So this is UFC going back to Nashville in July. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that could be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. I don't know how long it lasts, but it could be fun for all maybe 3 minutes of what the fight might last, but
45 seconds.
We're always excited for the Black Beast, dude.
Hell yeah. Give me some Derek Lewis, dude. I love me some Derek Lewis. And let's see. I think we talked about this one, yeah. How they're determined to keep fucking booking this damn fight.
Yeah, now it's going to be freaking Tony and Habib level to where if that fight gets canceled again, I mean, that's already the third or fourth time that it's been booked and it has not happened. I mean, it's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, man. Crazy. All right. You got any other news or anything, dude, you want to talk about, or are you good?
No, I mean, pretty much the Pico one was the only one off the top of my head that I could really think of. But other than that, we're good to move on to the card this week.
All right. Let's see what you guys got to say. Another thing, too, people don't talk about Pantoja chasing 2 belts. He could after that win. Yeah, I don't think UFC is going to let anyone else do that anymore, though. Cobb is in no position to make demands. Man missed weight at least half his fights. Yeah. Black Beast is back. And do you think Derek Lewis could be a Hall of Fame? Dude, he should be in the Hall of Fame just for the excitement that he just fucking put on, dude. The sheer knockout performances, the on mic moments, I love Derek Lewis, dude.
Most knockouts in company history, right?
Yeah,
or UFC, or the heavyweight history or company history, but or it might be heavyweight history actually.
Probably both, because it was tied with I think like Matt Brown, and then he ended up getting one more. So I think he has the knockout lead. Also, how do you guys feel about Denver firing Michael Malone and the GM on the same day? Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of a weird move. Yeah, all time period, 15 KOs. Yeah. And Elon Manning should be in the Hall of Fame. So should Black Beast. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true, man.
Yuck. What a Giants fan. What a dork. Eli Manning.
All right, D-Rose. So let's go ahead and move in to the last segment of the show. Our preview, picks, and prediction for this upcoming weekend's fights taking place in Miami. We've got UFC 314, Diego Lopes versus Alexander Volkanovski. So as I share my screen, we'll talk about it. This Saturday, taking place at 6 p.m. East Coast times, the prelims will start at the Casilla Center in Miami, Florida. We've got 13 fights to break down. It's going to be headlined by Alexander the Great Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopes. You all right? You all right, D-Rose?
It's just my dryer going off in the background over here.
Okay. Co-main event is Iron Michael Chandler taking on Patty the Baddie Pimblett. We got Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell taking on Gene Lord Silva. We got Yair El Pantera Rodriguez taking on Patricio Pitbull, UFC newcomer, first fight in the UFC coming from Bellator. We've got Nikita Krylov taking on Dominic the Devastator Reyes. And that is the main card. On the prelims, we have Dan 50K Ige taking on Sean the Sniper Woodson. We've got the very handsome Berna Jandiroba taking on Yan Xiaonan. We've got Chase the Dream Hooper taking on Jim fucking Miller. We got Darren the Damage Elkins taking on Julian Arosa. Juicy J. I thought UFC cut him, but I guess they signed him back, dude. Anyway, we got Cedriquez SD the Reaper Dumas taking on Mikhail Olashayjuk. We got Sumu Darji taking on Mitch Raposo. We got Trayshawn Gore taking on Marco Tullio. And we have Nora Cornell taking on Haley Callan. Fights that did fizzle off here were Gilbert Burns, Michael Morales, Alessandro Pantoja versus KKF, Armin Saryukian versus Michael Chandler, Alberto Montes versus Roberto Romero. Don't know who those guys are. Anyway, and Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. That Carlos Prates got rescheduled to fight Ian Gary. So, D-Rose, what's your thoughts on the card as a whole? Can you give it a grade if your dryer ain't still going off, man?
Dryer's not about to blow up, so we're good. And it's a badass card, man. And we've been kind of talking smack about the UFC the last couple times and whatnot as far as some of the cards. But let's go. Hey, let's go. I'll take that. But no, let's say A-, man. I think A- is a good score. I think maybe I think if there was, how I am with title fights. The co-main event is 5 rounds. It's scheduled for 5 rounds. It's probably not going to go there. I think maybe like one more title fight or something like that. This fight could be maybe like an A+, but and unfortunately lost Carlos Prates as well. So that was another fight I was excited for. But A-, man, great card, and I'm pumped for this weekend.
Yeah, man, that's good. There are a few spots that I already like on this card, and me and you have already chatted a little bit before. We already have the podcast parlay cooked up this week, so we ain't even got to do no scrambling at the end of the show to try to figure it out. We already got it cooked up. So, with that being said, let me share my other tab, and we will go ahead and get into the show. First fight of the night, we do have Nora Cornell taking on Haley All Hell Callan. Nora Wonder Cornhole is 8-2 overall. Out of her last 5 fights, she has 4 wins and 1 loss. She is 35 years old, 5'7" and a 67-inch reach, while Haley Cowan is 7-3 overall. Out of her last 5 fights, she has won 3 and lost 2. 33 years old, 5'8" and a 69.3-inch reach. Why it's 0.3? I don't know. But currently, odds for this fight are -180 for Nora Cornell, and Haley Cowan is +150. The dog over/under set at 2.5 here. Over is -230. Under is +175. Yeah, for me, D Rose, neither one of these fighters are great by any means. Haley Cowan is very inactive, to say the least. We haven't seen her in 2 years, and before that, it was on the Contender Series. And I heard something about her. So basically, her husband, I don't know, you Google Haley Cowan husband, you're going to see some wild shit, like almost like a fucking sex traffic ring or some shit going on. Dude, it was wild. So it probably explains why she hasn't fought in about 2 years. And she, lost a unanimous decision to Jamie Lynn Horth. That is just basically just a big, strong girl. If I could break this down, I would say Haley Cowan's probably the more athletic girl of the two, probably maybe even more technical. But Nora Cornell, on the other hand, she has more fight in her. Is the better fighter of the two. As where Haley Cowan is like the better athlete, Nora Cornell is like the better fighter of these two girls. And I would guess the best way I could explain Nora Cornhole is basically the female Benoit Saint Denis. Now that we know what Benoit is, he's not the greatest fighter in the world, but he's tough. He's strong. He's going to come out there and try to put a pace on you. And that's Nora Cornhole, dude. She's going to come out there, wing kicks. As where Haley Cowan, on the other hand, her whole goal is just to hold you on the fence. So for me, I am going Nora Cornhole to win this fight via decision, just due to more damage. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly could not have broken it down, much cleaner than the way you did. I do think Laura Cornelli, more the grittier of the two. I think Haley Cowan's going to want to look to have like a clean performance, as you said, maybe do a little wrestle clinch against the fence, try to go for takedowns, not get hit as much. Where I think Nora Cornelli is, by any means necessary type of fighter. I think she gets it done. Nora Cornelli, I think she gets it done by decision.
Fair enough. Let's see what you guys got going on here. If we had still had Protez versus Nil, yeah, it would have been 10 out of 10. I'd much rather Protez sleep. If they should let Protez smoke cigarettes while he's on the stool, right? That would be sick. Did he serve time for that? I'm not sure, Antoine. I'm not sure, if I'm going to be honest. I'd actually buy the pay-per-view if they could guarantee that. You just see Carlos Protez in between rounds just fucking lighting up a fucking cigarette, dude. I think Nora as well. She's been more active. It looks like we are all on Nora Cornell. So, D-Rose, you also making your Tapology picks as we're going over it? All right, hell yeah. So, with that being said, we'll move on to the next fight. We got Trayshawn, Mr. Vicious Gore, taking on Marco Matuto Tulio. Trayshawn Gore is 5-2 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 3 and lost 2. He is 30 years old, 6 foot, and a 75-inch reach, while Marco Tulio is 13-1 overall, undefeated out of his last 5. He's 30 years old, 6 foot, and a 74.5-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are -380 Marco Tulio, and Trayshawn Gore is +300. The over-under on this one is 1.5. The over is -135. The under is +105. Yeah, for me, Trayshawn Gore is just still really green. Had 7 fights total, lost 2 out of his last 5, and over Antonio Tricoli, who we know, he may have an attractive, fiance/wife, but that doesn't help you when it comes to fighting. And he choked out Josh Frim. That's Josh Frim's ass, dude. I'm just gonna put it like that. He's just cheeks. So I don't look into that at all. His 2 losses, got knocked out by Cody Brundage, dude. Not a good look. And then Brian Battle just pretty much just dogged him all 3 rounds. Marco Tulio knocked out Ihor Pateria basically 2 months ago. I'm not going to look into this one too much, dude. I'm on Marco Tulio, round 1, round 2 knockout. Probably the first round, though, if I'm going to be honest. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I think, you know, as you said, Trayshawn Gore is a little bit limited when it comes to the fights. He does have I guess you can say maybe more UFC experience because I guess he's technically fought in the UFC a little bit longer. I know Tulio, I believe he had 2 Contender Series fights. He had kind of like the boring fight against Browshery, that super tall kickboxer, and then I think he went back to the regional scene, back to Contender Series, and then in the UFC. So yeah, you can say Trayshawn Gore technically has a more UFC experience, but you know, for 14 fights for Tulio as well, you know, he is well experienced. You know, I think he has. I'm not going to say multiple ways because he only has 1 submission in his career, but he can get the takedowns as well. I think Trayshawn Gore, his big thing, he falls in love with his power a lot and likes to go in there and get the knockout. Now, and we saw that submission against Josh Brim. It was sick the way he got that, but man, I think Tulio, man, he cracks, and we've seen Trayshawn Gore get rocked before in his fights. I think
got knocked out by Cody Brundage.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Marco Tulio, that's one thing that dude can do. He can thump, man. So, yeah, I got Marco Tulio by round 1 knockout.
All right, me and D-Rose on the same so far. We'll move on to the next fight. Third fight of the night, we got Sumu Darji taking on Mitch Raposo. So the Tibetan Eagle, Sumu Darji, is 16-7 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has lost 3 in a row. But 1-2 of his last 5 were Malcolm Gordon and Zaruk Adashev. Lost the match now in a, you know, basically D Rose's fight of the year a few years ago. Tim Elliott and Charles Johnson, all pretty good fighters. Sumu Darji is 29 years old, 5'8" in a 72-inch reach. This is a flyweight too, so pretty big guy for flyweight. Mitch Raposo, 9-2 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has 1-4 and lost 1. His only loss was a split decision loss to Andre Lehman. Split decision to Andre Lehman is pretty solid, but I thought it was a clean win for Andre Lehman personally. Anyway, Mitch Raposo's 26 years old, 5'5" and a 64.5-inch reach. For me, D-Rose, it is a big striking difference in this fight because Mitch Raposo's whole game is to just get you down and just wrestle you, hold you down, maybe go for some subs. As where Sumu Darji's huge and he thumps at 125, dude. So for me, I think Sumu Darji just pretty much knuckles up Mitch Raposo all 3 rounds, and he wins by decision if he don't even finish this. Odds for the fight currently are Sumu Darji -180, Mitch Raposo +150, over unders 2.5 here. The over is -166, the under is +130. For me, it is Sumu Darji via decision. Just thumping Mitch Raposo up at range all 3 rounds with that solid stick and jab that he's got, dude. Tons of fights for him not being that old, man. And if he keeps losing, he might get cut. So I believe going to have a solid game plan coming here, win via decision. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this one, I've actually gone back and forth with this one a little bit. I think, you know, Sumu Darji is a guy who, you know, great striker, you know, good at range. Has power, you know, can crack. He's fast, you know, and I think somebody from Mitch Raposo, as you said, the striking difference is going to be pretty big here. But Mitch Raposo does have some good grappling, man. And, you know, I thought even though, you know, you could say you thought maybe that it was a unanimous decision for Andre Lima and not a split decision, but you can still say that fight was still pretty close. And I thought that Mitch Raposo accounted well for himself in that fight. And, you know, the grappling that he's got, Sumu Darji's takedown defense is not that great. So I think if Raposo can get it down to the ground, I think that's where he can get it done. And I think Mitch Raposo does get it done. Give me Mitch Raposo here by decision.
All right. Our first different pick of the night, Sumu Darji versus Mitch Raposo. I am on Sumu Darji. D Rose is on Mitch Raposo. Both via decision, though. Semi-close fight. You know, odds aren't too far apart here. I'm just feeling like a complete dickhead this week and just pretty much picking all the favorites, though. So there's a couple dogs, so I don't feel like a complete dickhead. But, yeah, lots of favorites for me this week. Anyway, moving on. We've got Cedriquez Dumas taking on Mikhail Olashechuk. And D-Rose, If I was to tell you one of these fighters is now a fighting nerd, which one would you guess it would be?
It is Olasheshek.
You are correct, my friend. Do you like that? I like that.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, because and the only reason why I guessed that I had no prior knowledge, just that he wasn't really training with anybody previously. He was just kind of training with his homeboys,
Yeah, training with his
just
friends in
going
his
out and,
garage.
like, yeah, like just going out and just punching, hanging, standing bags in his in his garage and just having a good old time. So yeah, that seemed to make sense.
Yeah. Oh shit, Cedric was PA let him out this weekend. Oh man. All right, so here we go. Yeah, Cedric was the Reaper, SD Dumas, 10-2 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, won 3 and lost 2, fighting out of Pensacola, Florida. 29 years old, 6'2" and a 79-inch reach. He's also a hood wolf. Don't forget that. Mikhail Olashejuk is 19-9 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 1 and lost 4. He's 30 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, and the new fighting nerd. There's only 2 on this card, and Mikhail Olashejuk is one of them. Yeah, for me, D Rose, I don't think Cedric Dumas is good. I mean, I think UFC signed this dude thinking that he was going to be. UFC signed this dude with the intention of, him being a star like the rappers from around the same time, where it's like you get face tattoos and dye your hair, you can be a rapper. Around the same time, UFC signed Cedric Dumas to a fight contract. And since then, dude, he has not been entertaining at all. He lost to Josh Frem via guillotine, which is terrible look. He beat Cody Brundage by laying on him for 3 rounds, dude. Beat Abu Azatar once again, wrestled him, and got knocked out by Nursultan Rizabov. He did get eye poked first, but just the way he reacted wasn't a good look, if I'm going to be honest. And he did beat Dennis Talulin, but dude, he kind of went life and death with Dennis Talulin. He's not the best fighter in the world. As for Mikhail Olashejuk, lost to Shara Bullet, lost to Kevin Holland, lost to Michel Pereira, but beat Chidi and Jaquani knockout and beat lost to Caio Bahia via rear naked choke, dude. Mikhail is losing against really good fighters, and Cedric Dumas going life and death with fighters that are not good, dude. Odds for this fight are currently, where are they at? Oh, yeah. Cedric Dumas plus 160. Your underdog. Mikhail Olashejuk minus 192. Your favorite. Over-under on this one is 1.5. Over is minus 154. Under is plus 120. Yeah, dude. It's Mikhail Olashejuk for me. And it's probably Mikhail Olashejuk probably round 1 knockout, dude. One thing that I do like that he throws a lot is these heaters to the body, D-Rose. Those rib roasters, D-Rose calls them. And Cedric stands up so tall, dude. He just leaves his body so open. So give me Mikhail Olashejuk to land some sick body shots and get SD Dumas out of there in the first round. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think for me, the breakdown's simple. I think for Cedric Dumas, he was not regarded as a wrestler coming into this. But I think that, for this fight, if he does not get the fight down to the ground, I think Olashejuk, in terms of striking, I think Olashejuk is the much better striker of the two, the much more battle-tested of the two. And, having a team like the Fighting Nerds kind of backing him now as well, I think, someone who could try to help hone in that skill, because there's some boxing skills there, man. That dude can box. He took that fight against Char Bullet on short notice after getting his arm dislocated from Kevin Holland. And you could make an argument that Olashejuk won that fight against Char Bullet. He fought pretty well in the Caio Bahia fight until Caio Bahia got the takedown and everything. I don't think Cedric Dumas has that type of talent in terms of the grappling to take the back and whatnot like that. Give me Olashejuk. I think it's by decision. I think Cedric Dumas is very tough. I think he's going to be hard to finish. But give me Olashejuk by decision here.
I got you, man. For someone that is a big Olashejuk guy, I always talked about, him getting those KOs up at 205. I'm surprised that you're not picking him by finish this week because I know he thumps, dude. I know he thumps.
Yeah, he definitely thumped Cedric Dumas. The only reason why he got finished by Ruzaboyev was because Ruzaboyev had like one of the nastiest eye pokes and then like hit him with like a dirty uppercut afterwards. But other than that, yeah, I mean Cedric Dumas has shown that he's had a pretty good chin, so I don't think he's going to be easy to finish. But I think if there's a finish, it might be late. I think early is going to be tough.
Fair enough. We'll move on. You got Darren, the Damage Elkins, taking on Juicy J, Julian Arosa. Darren Elkins, 29-11 overall of his last 5 fights. He has won 3 and lost 2. He is 40 years old, 5'11" and a 71-inch reach, while Juicy J, Julian Arosa, is 30-11 overall out of his last 5 fights. He has won 3 and lost 2. 35 years old, 6'1" and a 74.5-inch reach. D-Rose, I'm trying not to be a complete dickhead this week and just pick all the favorites. So for that reason only, I'm going to go Darren Elkins to win this fight via decision, and I will accept my fate of being wrong. But this is one of those ones this week where odds are currently plus 270 Darren Elkins and minus 340 for Julian. Minus 340 for Julian Arosa. Earlier in the week, odds were like plus 400 Darren Elkins and like minus 450 Julian like Arosa, and I was like, dude, if these odds keep going this way, I gotta throw some money on damage Darren Elkins because he's taking so much damage that he just got it written on his chest, dude. So my thing here is Juicy J, if he goes for these chokes, man, we saw it in his last fight. Darren Elkins is not getting choked out, dude. Daniel Pineda has a nasty guillotine. He gets it, a lot of people with it. And Darren Elkins was able to just fight out of that shit and just re-grapple, end up on top every single fucking time and just land ground and pound, dude. And if Julian Arosa goes for those same front chokes, I don't think he chokes out Darren Elkins. He has to grab a limb. He has to grab an arm or a leg to get him out of there. Julian Arosa does have solid striking, dude, but I feel like every Darren Elkins fight, it ends up going to the ground, dude. And if that's the case, I'll throw a couple of dollars at Darren Elkins. Give me Darren Elkins to win this fight via decision. I'm going to be wrong here, but I'll accept it. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this is another one that I have also been going back and forth with. I don't know. I could basically see both guys winning a couple of different ways. I could see Darren Elkins absolutely just wearing Julian Arosa out after Julian Arosa maybe rocking Darren Elkins in the first round, going for the finish, doesn't get the finish, and then Darren Elkins just wears Arosa out the last couple of rounds. Or I can see Arosa just throwing like a flying knee or something like that and landing on Darren Elkins to get Darren Elkins out of there because Darren Elkins can be chinned. Mm-hmm. Man, so my biggest thing is Julian Arosa is a good fighter, a good striker. He does not possess the power in his hands, consistently. I think in order to really be able to do something to push Darren Elkins back, like when you go back to when Darren Elkins got absolutely smoked by Cub Swanson was lighting him up on the feet with just nasty boxing combinations. Arosa's a good striker, but he is from range. When someone's in his face kind of smothering him, you can kind of take advantage of him. That's something that I think Darren Elkins can really do. And as you said, he's not going to get submitted by Julian Arosa. I just don't see how he does. I'm actually also with you. And
damn, all right.
Because I'll tell you, remember, I picked Darren Elkins going into that Daniel Pineda fight as well. Because I did it. Yeah, I know. That was one of our pick champ picks. Yeah. But yeah, I picked Darren Elkins in that fight as well. I was very confident in that. Hey, the only way that I see Darren Elkins losing is by knockout. And I don't see the guy that he's going against possess that knockout power to really deter Darren Elkins from what he wants to do. I can see it being gritty there. It's going to be 1-1 going into the third round, and Darren Elkins is going to get some clutch takedowns in the third round to grind out a rugged-ass decision. But I think Darren Elkins gets it done.
All right, man. Me and D-Rose both on the Both on the big dog, plus 270 this week. Darren Elkins to get it done. All right, let's move on. We've got Chase, the Dream Hooper, taking on Jim fucking Miller. It's not A10. I don't know why it says A10 there. Anyway, Chase Hooper, 15-3-1 overall. Of his last 5 fights, he has won 4 and lost 1. He is 25 years old, 6'1" and a 74-inch reach, while Jim fucking Miller is 38-18 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 3 and lost 2. He is 41 years old, 5'8" and a 71-inch reach. We got the biggest favorite and the biggest dog on the card right here, D-Rose. Jim Miller is plus 575, the underdog. Chase Hooper, minus 850, the favorite. Over-under on this one's 1.5. Over is minus 166. The under is plus 130. Yeah, for me, D-Rose, yeah, I think this looks like the Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper fight. I know Jim Miller's got more power. He's got maybe a little bit more defense against the submissions, but Chase Hooper, dude, he is big and he is filling out at 155, dude. I think Chase Hooper is really, really tricky when it comes to getting to the ground and when he gets you on the ground too. So he's got weird ways to get you, like drag you down, and then once you're there, dude, you're toast. So for me, it's Chase Hooper round 1 submission. What about you, Dearest?
Yeah, I think this one is. I think it's a good fight, good matchup for Chase Hooper, kind of moving up to see if he's really about it. Because I remember a couple of years ago, when Chase Hooper got lumped up by Steve Garcia, like dude. I was like, dude, he took such a hellacious ass whooping from Steve Garcia. I'm sorry, and like I was like, dude, is Chase Hooper going to continue fighting? Like, has he moved up too quick? But he's looked very a lot better in his last few fights. And Jim Miller, he's just like that old leather boot, man. He's just so damn tough. You can't put the dude away easily. You really got to be able to hurt him to get him out of there. I think Chase Hooper has looked a lot better in his last few fights. His striking's looked a lot better. I think it's going to take a lot for Chase Hooper to submit Jim Miller. Jim Miller does have really good jiu-jitsu. I think the last person to submit him was Charles Oliveira. Other than that, that was back in like 2018. So other than that, I mean, Jim Miller has pretty much been able to go in there and pretty much be able to stand throughout the whole fight. And I think Chase Hooper can get it done. I think you see a lot of distance striking. It might not be the most entertaining fight, but I think Chase Hooper gets it done by decision.
Fair enough. Me and D-Rose both on Chase Hooper. I am on him submitting Jim Miller. D-Rose says he wins it via decision. All right, we got 2 fights left on the prelims, so let's get into it. This will be my podcast. This will be my side of the podcast play of the week, my most confident play on the card. Let's talk about it. We've got Kakarai, Verna Jandiroba taking on 9 Yan Xiaonan. So Kakarai, Verna Jandiroba is 21-3 overall. Out of her last 5 fights, she has won 4 and lost 1. She is 36 years old, 5'3" and a 64-inch reach. While Yan 9 Xiaonan is 19-4 overall, won 3 of her last 5. She's 35 years old, 5'5" and a 63-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are plus 124 for Yan Xiaonan, and Verna Jandiroba is minus 148. Your favorite. Over-under on this one is set at 2.5. The over is minus 215. The under is plus 165. Yeah, D-Rose. Yan Xiaonan, when it comes to the ground game, it is just non-existent, dude. Carla Esparza has 1 knockout in her entire career, and it wasn't very long ago. It was, right before this?
Yeah.
3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, dude. Carla Esparza basically looked like Khamzat Chimaev against Yan Xiaonan, dude. Took her down, crucifixed her, hit her with the elbows, dude. Had the bloodiest I've ever seen any Carla Esparza fight ever, dude. It was crazy. Verna is a way better power grappler than I would say that Carla Esparza is, and her control on the ground is way better. I think this ends up on the ground 2-3 times, and Verna Jandiroba controls every single minute of it, every single moment of the fight. And if she doesn't submit if she doesn't submit Yan Xiaonan, then it's going to be a 30-27 decision for Verna Jandiroba. I'm going to go Verna Jandiroba via decision, but Verna Jandiroba money line is my most confident play on the card and will be my side of the podcast play of the week. D-Rose, which way are you going here?
Yeah, I think for me, I think you can even go back to, I know you said Yan Xiaonan versus Carla, but I think you could even go back as recent as her versus Wei Li. I mean, she ended up getting, Yan Xiaonan got saved at the end of the first round because she got choked and put out unconscious. And her coach literally had to give her smelling salts in the corner to wake her up and get
Jason Herzog picked her up off the ground. I was like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah, someone who had Wei Li by submission, and by submission was like plus 400 or something crazy like that. I was absolutely hot. But, Yan Xiaonan, great striker. She's a good fighter. And I think she's got good initial takedown defense. It's when they start consistently, putting them chains together, going for the leg, switching to the hips, going to the back, just all that chaining that Verna can put together. I think that's where she could really make Yan Xiaonan work. I think Verna gets the back and gets either a choke or she, switches to like an armbar or something like that. Give me Verna Jandiroba by submission. I'm going to say second round.
All right, fair enough. I don't hate it, man. Me and D-Rose both on Verna Jandiroba, and that is apparently Dave's wife. Dave's wife's Verna. Dude, you are a lucky man. Not many could catch the eye of. Not many could catch the eye of someone like that, dude. You must be a real looker, Dave. Anyway, with that being said, final fight on the prelims, we got Dan 50K Ige taking on Sean the Sniper Woodson. 50K Ige is 18-9 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has lost 3 and won 2 of them. Lost to Lerone Murphy and Diego Lopes most recently. He is 33 years old, 5'7" and a 71-inch reach, while Sean the Sniper Woodson is 13-1-1 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has 4 wins and 1 draw. He is 32 years old, 6'2" and a 78-inch reach. For me, D-Rose, I think out of Sean Woodson's last 2 fights, I picked, not of his last 2, I picked Charles Jourdain to beat him, and I picked Fernando Padillo to beat him in his last fight, dude. Both of which weren't, or I guess the Charles Jourdain was kind of close, but if I'm going to be honest, that fight didn't really play out the way I was expecting it to. But this one right here, Fernando Padilla, dude, Sean Woodson smoked Fernando Padilla in the first round, dude, and Sean Woodson doesn't knock anyone out, man. So I'm just kind of thinking that it's probably more something on the Fernando Padilla side, that fight, because he walked in there with no defense and was just hitting face first into Sean Woodson punches, dude. And Sean Woodson basically, as I said it just now, doesn't finish anyone besides, like, dude, he finished Terrence McKinney on the Contender Series in the 3rd round. So just keep that in mind. They went to the 3rd round on the Contender Series to get Terrence McKinney out of there. So Sean Woodson doesn't really have that power to get people out of there. But what he does have is excellent boxing and excellent takedown defense. And one of my favorite things to watch when Sean Woodson gets going, dude, is he'll start rolling his hands and dig into the body, dude. That is my favorite thing that Sean Woodson dude. So my pick for this fight will be Sean Woodson to win this fight via decision. I think he touches up Dan Ige a whole lot, lands some clean body shots, stays at distance all 3 rounds, and we see Sean Woodson win this fight via decision. So Sean Woodson via decision for me. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing that you can knock with Sean Woodson is that, I know you were saying not the most power, but I just don't think he has the best finishing instinct necessarily, because he likes to be clean with his performance. He doesn't like to go in there. Obviously, the name of the game is to hit and not get hit. I understand that, but he sometimes tries to get a little too pretty and too clean with his performances to where, sometimes he might be able to just bite down and throw. So I think, for Dan Ige, something where he could really capitalize is when Sean Woodson is trying to, as you said, winging those hooks to the body and the pocket and stuff like that. If Dan Ige can hit him with a nice counter over the top, similar to how he did like Andre Feely or Damon Jackson or anybody like that, Dan Ige has power. He has great counter boxing. I got to think that Sean Woodson is going to be smart enough to not stand in the pocket and trade with someone as dangerous as Dan Ige, because I think Dan Ige's best shot here is to get the knockout, because I think if he doesn't, Sean Woodson should be able to keep it at range. It'll be a pretty frustrating fight for Dan Ige, but I think Sean Woodson gets it done, and I think Woodson gets it done by decision.
Fair enough. Anything else here?
That's it.
Not your favorite play of the week or anything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yes, thank you for the reminder. So, yes, this is actually my side of the podcast pick. So, this is actually my favorite play. My favorite play this week is Sean Woodson, round 3 or decision. I did get that earlier at -120. I just don't think there's going to be a way that Sean Woodson finishes Dan Ige, and if he does, I think it's got to be late. Dan Ige is just so tough, but I think Sean Woodson, cleaner performance, gets the job done.
Verna has to fight for the belt after this, right, D-Rose? I mean, I just think
I would think, but I mean, who
UFC don't want her to have that belt. Like, come on now. Like,
who is really going to slam the table and say Verna needs to be fighting for the title? I mean, right now, nobody's really doing it. So,
Dave, look, she washes the door while she looks at me hitting it.
Damn.
That's Dave's wife, man. Anyway, moving on. Main card time. We've got Nikita Krylov taking on Dominic the Devastator Reyes. Nikita Krylov, the minor, is 30-9 overall. 32 years old, 6'3", and a 77.5-inch reach, while the Devastator Dominic Reyes is 14-4 overall out of his last 5 fights, won 2 and lost 3. 35 years old, 6'4". And a 77-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are, I didn't tell you the odds for Danny Ige, Sean Woodson. It's okay. It is what it is. Nikita Krylov -175, your favorite. Dominic Reyes +145, your dog. Over-under on this one is set at 1.5. Over is -145. Under is +114. D-Rose, this was almost my side of the podcast play of the week. I almost took the under in this fight because truly, I don't know who's winning this fight, but I know it probably ain't going out of the first round because Nikita Krylov comes out pretty much shot out of a cannon, dude. Throws heat, throws power, will go for a takedown if necessary. Dominic Reyes, we all know how he fights. He's only going out there to knock you out, and he throws heat in the first round as well. With the chin of both of these guys, it's truly up in the air. I think if it goes to the ground, the submission upside is on Nikita Krylov, though. But for me, I like it to go under 2.5. If you have DraftKings, they currently have it under 1.5 as the line right now. Or I don't hate the fight to not go to decision. But for me, I'm going to go Nikita Krylov to win by knockout in the first round. D-Rose, which way are you going here, man? But not too confident on it. Just on the it not going out of the first round for me. How about you, man?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident in this fight not going the distance as well, just because both fighters typically bring the action. And I think for Nikita Krylov, I think you could say that he has more ways to win. I think for Dominic Reyes, he might have the one way to go with the knockout, but I think he holds the bigger danger because I do think that he's the cleaner boxer of the two. He's got good head kicks, good body kicks, but I think, Dominic Reyes' boxing is very clean, very sharp. And, seeing that Nikita Krylov is 32, I'm like, you're a damn lie. No, he's not 32. I have been watching him in the UFC since literally like 2015, 2016, dude. Like, there is no way that Nikita Krylov is only 32 years old. Like, just unbelievable to think that. But I would swear that he was much older than Reyes just because I've watched him in the UFC for much longer. But that point aside, I do think that Nikita Krylov, when he gets in certain positions, man, he just has bad fight IQ, man. I'm just, that's just the best way I can say
like
it.
The Paul Craig fight?
Yeah, Paul Craig fight. The Ryan Spann fight, he was getting a little, reckless in there with Ryan Spann as well. yeah, I think Dominic Reyes can get it done. I think Dominic Reyes clips him early, and I think he gets him out of there. I'm going Dominic Reyes. I'm actually going round 2 knockout because for me personally, I think if Nikita Krylov doesn't use his takedowns against Dominic Reyes, I think it's Reyes' fight to lose. It's just me personally.
Oh yeah,
And
for
I'm
sure, for sure.
I'm super surprised to see the Reyes in the underdog. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, as I said, dude, I don't have any confidence on who's going to win this fight. I just know it ain't gonna go on very long. I don't have. Yeah, I'm going Krylov round 1 knockout. D Rose going Reyes round 2 knockout. As long as it don't go over, I'll be okay with it though. But for pick champ purposes, we are split on this one. I'm on Krylov. D Rose is on Dominic Reyes. Second fight of the main event, we do have Yair El Pantera Rodriguez taking on Patricio Pitbull. Yair Rodriguez is 19-5 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 2 and lost 3. He is 32 years old, 5'11", and a 71-inch reach. Patricio Pitbull is 36-7 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 3 and lost 2. He's 37 years old, 5'6", and a 65-inch reach. D Rose, I am going to let you do the honors. You are a more of a Bellator watcher than I can claim to be. I have watched a lot of Patricio Pitbull's fights, one in the Michael Chandler video that I made a few years back, and 2 getting ready for this fight week this weekend. So I haven't thoughts and opinions on him, but I want to get your thoughts and opinions to see if I'm right or if basically my read isn't that great. So I'm going to let you break this one down, and then I'm going to go and then I'll make my pick after you. So I'll let you go ahead, man.
Yeah. So the way that I see the fight is, Patricio Pitbull, he was one of the guys coming from Bellator. You know, you can make the argument that he is the greatest Bellator fighter of all time because he has, I believe he has the most title defenses out of any fighter in Bellator history. Has the most wins in Bellator history. Fought a lot of good names. He fought for 3 different titles. Fought for 145, was a champ there for a long time. Earned the 155 belt, and even cut all the way down to 135. Now he ended up losing that fight. But he did put up a good performance in that fight. I think he just ultimately drained himself just a little too much to make 135. But the guy's super talented. He's got knockout power in his hands. He's got good wrestling. He's well rounded. He's just a little bit smaller for the weight class. I think that's the only thing that you could really say that'll hold him back because he's going to have a pretty decent height disadvantage against Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez, obviously good kicks, good striking. We know the striking danger that he holds. He's worked on his ground game over the years. He has good attacks off his back as well. I think that's something that he's really worked on over time. For me, where I think Patricio Pitbull can get the job done, I think you can I know yourself, if you've done some research, you could probably pull up the AJ McKee fight against Patricio Pitbull where AJ McKee was able to go in there. To go in there and get the finish. Dude, that was a spectacular finish. I picked AJ McKee going into that fight as well. And that Patricio Pitbull was a big favorite going into that fight. The way McKee set up that finish was by a head kick and then get the submission. AJ McKee also had the threat of the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu on his side to where I think Patricio Pitbull was more concerned with the wrestling and not necessarily the kicks. I think that's something that Yair Rodriguez, that is obviously one of his best weapons, and I think Pitbull is going to be ready for it. I think Pitbull gets in there, gets it dirty, because I think once the fight gets a little dirty, man, he's ready to get out of there. That's just the way that I've seen it. Brian Ortega, Volk in that fight as well. I think there's multiple fights you can point back to and say, like, yeah, he's ready to pack his bags when it's time. I think Patricio Pitbull, I don't know if he necessarily gets the finish, but I do think he comes in, uses the takedowns, uses his boxing, gets inside, makes it dirty, and I think he gets a win. I think by decision. I don't think he knocks out Yair, but I think Patricio gets it done by decision here.
All right. Not the wrong reads. Because we kind of got the same reads. Maybe not the same outcome though. So for me, I like that you pointed out the AJ McKee fight because, just being short, that's how I think this fight goes. And it's for reasons you pointed out, the head kicks. I know Yair has decent front strokes. He does train with Bilal at Valley Flow Striking, so he's going to have a solid game plan. For me, it's the size, man. 5'6" versus 5'11", and 5'6" is maybe on a good day with some shoes on. Because, dude, this fight was the one that I watched from 2 years ago, dude. Sergio Pettis was bigger than he was. And if you remember, Sergio Pettis fought at 125 in the UFC, dude, and he ended up, getting like released when, the 125, when everyone got cut from 125, fought Bellator 135, but he was the bigger guy here. And, just didn't look good, to be honest. And then went over to Ryzen, got smoked. And even in this last one against Jeremy Kennedy, dude, he was getting lumped up there too. He did win, but he was getting lumped up there too. And I think, dude, he's just getting a little bit older now, just not reacting as fast as he should be. And Yair could easily fight at 155 here, dude. So this is basically going to look like a 155er versus a 135er. And my honest opinion of Pitbull, dude, is Michael Chandler, a smaller Michael Chandler. He can wrestle, but he don't. So for me, I'm going Yair Rodriguez to win this fight. Let's go by submission in the first round, dude. Head kick and then front choke. Why not? Do you hate my opinion of it? Am I wrong? What do you think?
No, I mean, especially to point out the fact that, Pitbull is 37 years old coming into the UFC, and I was making the comment earlier about, hey, guys over 35 typically don't compete at the highest of levels when it comes to these weight classes. And, he's 37 years old getting thrown right to the top of the division. It's not an easy fight. I just personally like the matchup against him because I've seen where guys have been able to take Yair down. But you're not necessarily wrong because Pitbull
just don't shoot.
Again, longer in the tooth.
Yeah, he
doesn't wrestle. He doesn't choose to wrestle, even though he can.
He's like fucking Michael Chandler. He just goes out there and throws heat. He can wrestle, but he don't. What are you doing? Yeah, I think the speed is going to.
And he knocked out Michael Chandler at 155 as well. So, and it was like within the first minute. So yeah, he absolutely smoked Michael Chandler. Pitbull's a good fighter, man. He's really good. So yeah, that's what makes the fight so interesting to me.
Yeah, so I guess we're split for the third time here. I am on Yair. D-Rose is on Pitbull. Yeah, that's our third different one, dude. Moving on. Feature fight of the night, we got Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell, taking on Jean Lord Silva. Woo! This is everybody's fight of the night, man. Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell, 17-2 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 3 and lost 2. He is 30 years old, 5'10" and a 70-inch reach, while Jean Lord Silva is 15-2 overall, 5-0 out of his last 5. The second fighting nerd on this card. He's 28 years old, 5'7" and a 69-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight closing up a little bit, D-Rose. Plus 200, the underdog, Bryce Mitchell. Jean Silva is minus 245, your favorite. Over under is 2.5 here. Over is plus 114. The under is minus 145. How do I say this? I think at the end of the night, D-Rose, Bryce Mitchell is going to look way better than a plus 200 dog, but I still don't think he wins at the end of the night. I think Bryce Mitchell is able to get Jean Silva down, maybe control him like round 1. But, dude, I think what's going to get into Bryce Mitchell's head is, like, Jean Silva is trying to, be friends with him in the fight. And I don't think Bryce Mitchell is going to play that. And so then I think that's going to make Jean Silva angry. And you don't want to make Jean Silva angry. So, with that being said, Bryce Mitchell is going to look good until he's not. So, I'm going Jean Silva knockout in the second round, dude. I think Bryce Mitchell is going to look good, as I said, until he gets wonked, until he gets clipped and put out. Jean Silva round 2 knockout for me. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this is the one that everybody's looking forward to because everybody is waiting to see Lord Silva make that jump because it's almost like he's this close to having such a big performance and just going on the rocket ship and going straight to the top of the division. This is the perfect matchup against a guy who people want to see lose right now. John Silva is going to have all the people behind him, considering that Bryce Mitchell has had, the controversial, comments that he had made recently and whatnot. So, you get that momentum behind you as well. Man, I think for me, I picked, Josh Emmett going into the fight against Bryce Mitchell. I know Josh Emmett was a big dog. I didn't understand why, because I was like, man, Bryce just gets hit way too much, in my opinion. He leads his chin straight up in the air. He obviously does have great takedowns. Joan Silva, he did get up, but he did get taken down a couple of times by Charles Jourdain, who is not half the wrestler that Bryson Mitchell is. So that is going to be something to look out for. But if Bryce Mitchell does not get the fight down to the ground, there's no way that he wins. I mean, Joan Silva's going to go in there and land a bomb and get him out of there. And I think that's what Joan Silva does. I think he gets it done in the second round. I'm with you. I think second round knockout for Joan Silva here. And I think he's going straight to the top of the division. They're going to try to catapult this dude to maybe be one fight away from a title fight.
I can see it, dude. I can see it. So me and D Rose agree. John Silva, second round knockout. Man, I was such a big Thug Nasty fan, and then what happened to
where's the wig? Where's the wig at? Where's the wig at?
For
or not wig, the hat.
For fucking Bryce Mitchell. It's over here. I got my camo hat still here. I just don't ever put it on anymore. Maybe after he gets some sense knocked into him, I can start supporting him again. I'm knocking shit down over here now, D-Rose.
Thanks, Bryce Mitchell. Look what you doing.
Thanks, Bryce Mitchell. You done messed up my set. Anyway, with that being said, we've got the co-main event of the evening, D-Rose. And before we get started breaking down this fight, when I saw the line set for this weekend, when I saw the 2.5 for this fight, I'm sorry. When the line total dropped for this fight this weekend, and I saw the under 1.5 was plus 160, dude, I immediately got so happy. I'm like, dude, there's zero chance this shit is going over 1.5. And then got on Tapology, started, looking at picks and everything. And then I saw this was a 5-round fight. In my opinion, immediately was like, oh, never mind. It's just like, it's weird how it's like, I can think that it'll go under in a 3-round fight, but scheduled for 5, I'm a little bit more hesitant now. I'm like, shit. I don't know, man. Like, there's more rounds, like, how would it not go under? But yeah, dude, my opinion, my confidence on it dropped immediately. But yeah, dude, let's get into it. We got Iron Michael Chandler taking on Patty, the Baddie Pimblett. Iron Michael Chandler is 23-9 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 1 of them and lost 4 of them. He is 38 years old, 5'8" and a 71.5-inch reach, while Patty, the Baddie Pimblett, is 22-3 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won all 5 of them. 30 years old, 5'10" and a 73-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight, plus 124 for Iron Michael Chandler and minus 148 for Patty Pimblett. Over-under is set at 1.5 here. Over is minus 210. Under is plus 160. Yeah, tough fight here, man. I'm going to be completely honest. So that being said, I'm gonna pass the D Rose first. I'm gonna let you break this down first, man.
Yeah, man. I think this has probably been the hardest one for me to pick. I'll just be straight up. I'll say that, when the fight first got announced, I was like, man, I don't see how Chandler doesn't win. Chandler should be able to chin him. And then, like, I don't know, here recently, I've just been telling myself, like, man, Patty's on the way up, Chandler's on the way out. This is the perfect timing for Patty. I think the way that the fight breaks down for me is, obviously Chandler has the power, great athlete. He's got good wrestling. He just doesn't want to use it because he just goes out there similar to Josh Emmett, and he just can't help but just throw down with everybody. Like, that's just, Michael Chandler, Josh Emmett, guys like that, they just want to go out there and just entertain the fight fans and just throw down, which we definitely appreciate, but it might not necessarily be the smartest game plan. I think, for Patty, he leaves his chin up in the air a lot, but he has gotten better as he's continually progressed throughout the UFC. Obviously we know his jiu-jitsu skills. That submission over Bobby Green is just absolutely nasty. The way that he got that, the way that he was able to, he submitted Jordan Levitt before. He kind of beat the snot out of Tony Ferguson, which obviously Tony is, Tony, and not that guy that we knew at one point, but still a good performance there. I think, man, Chandler's got to knock him out early, because I think if he does not, for me, I'll say it was a little bit concerning seeing Michael Chandler in that Charles Oliveira fight. Like the stand up when Charles Oliveira had his back, okay, all that stuff was cool. I got a big pop from it. Look, everybody wanted to see Chandler win that fight. He did not win that fight. He looked old in that fight, man. I'm just being honest. And I think where Patty has started to put it together a little bit more each time, he knows the danger that Michael Chandler possesses. So I don't think he's going to be absolutely reckless out there in round one. Patty Pimblett has admitted that he's been a big Michael Chandler fan even before taking this fight. So he knows the dangers that Chandler possesses. I think that Patty Pimblett ends up getting it done here. I think it's a little bit of a slower start, and I think Patty sort of picks it up as the fight goes. I think Patty gets it done by decision, but I think it'll be a fun fight where both guys are going back and forth. You'll see Patty probably get some back takes at certain points in time. I think the fight goes everywhere, but I think Patty gets it done by decision.
Fair. What's up? Guess who I'm going for, dear? Fucking come on, lads.
Fucking come on, lad.
Oh, Patty the Bat. Nah, dude. For me, it wouldn't surprise me if UFC went ahead and prepaid Mike Chan $1 million. Hey, man, go ahead and fucking dive right into a guillotine, because Mike Chandler's just a company guy, and he'll be like, I'll see you at the top with my $1 million. Because if we remember correctly, after the Patty Pimblett Bobby Green fight, Bobby Green showed up with a fucking brick of money at the fucking post-fight press conference and was talking into that shit. Where did he get that from? Because why did he shoot a takedown on Patty Pimblett? It makes no sense. It's like there's shenanigans going on here. We know he got the robbery in England against Jared Gordon. Dude, UFC wants Patty versus Ilya for this title. Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I don't know if that's their goal, but if it fell in their lap, hell yeah, they take it.
Yeah, they're gonna take it, dude. I just think, as you said, Mike Chan just didn't look the same in his last fight. Looked a little bit slower, and the game plan, dude. Patty is about the same size as Charles is, dude. You're telling me that Patty can't jab at distance for 3 to 5 rounds, keep a distance. And when Mike Chandler shoots in, when like Mike Chandler comes in, dive under, hit the double leg, like, dude, if Patty gets Michael Chandler's back, I think he submits him. I think Michael Chandler is too confident in himself this week. Heard him all week saying, well, if Charles Oliveira didn't sub me, they think Patty Pimblett's going to do it. Dude, he is underestimating Patty Pimblett. I think Patty Pimblett submits Michael Chandler round 2, round 3, something like that. So let's go. For me, for the pick, let's go Patty Pimblett submission round 2. Yeah. Patty the Batty. Gonna get it done, dude. Michael Chandler's too much of a company guy. He's willing to take that L, dude. He's willing to take that L. Let's see. And then the walkout sold out in Miami is going to be fire. Yeah, Patty's song when he walks out is super cool. I like that one. And it would be wild seeing Patty and Ilya get into it years ago. And then, that was the same card. So you are on Patty via decision, you said, Deros?
Yes, I'm on Patty decision.
All right. So main event time, we have Diego Lopes taking on Alexander the Great Volkanovski. I'll put that up later. Man, I like this one. All Chandler does is take the L. Yeah, he does lose. He does lose quite a bit. Anyway, so here we go. Main event. If y'all haven't already, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button for your boy. We got Alexander, the great Volkanovski, taking on Diego Lopes. Alexander Volkanovski is 26-4-0. Out of his last 5 fights, he has lost 3 of them and won 2. He is 36 years old, 5'6" and a 71.5-inch reach, while Diego Lopes, the up-and-coming rising star, 2 years ago, no one had any clue who he was. Now look at him, fighting for a title. He is 26-6 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he is undefeated with submission over Gavin Tucker. I was there in Nashville when that happened. Smoked Pat Sabatini. Me and D Rose will watch that one right beside each other live on his couch. Smoked Sadiq Yusuf. Beat Dan Ige via decision up at, what was that, like 170? And they
165, I believe.
And they fight at 145, dude, like on 2 hours notice, still won. And then smoked Brian Ortega with the first combination that he landed in the sphere. I was live at this one, and then woke him back up with the second punch that he landed. He went on to win that fight via decision as well. Anyway, Diego Lopes is 30 years old, 5'11" and a 72.5-inch reach. D Rose. Odds for this fight -130 for Alexander Volkanovski. The underdog is Diego Lopes at +110. Over under on this one is 3.5. Over is -145. The under is +114. Yeah, D Rose, for me, you know, I'm a Diego Lopes fan. You're a Diego Lopes fan. We have the Diego Lopes hair on the thumbnail, right? You know, well, like why would we have the hair if we're not Diego Lopes fans, right? With that being said, he is going up against one of the greatest, probably the greatest featherweight of all time in Alexander Volkanovski. The thing is, out of his last 4 fights, he's lost 3 of them, and he got knocked out cold in his last 2, man. So not the best look. Volk's getting a little bit older, and he's actually playing into the I'm the old man Volk myself. One thing that sticks out to me in this fight is, or out of Alexander Volkanovski's career, is he doesn't usually fight many people that come out fast and put the pressure on him early. And when he does, dude, you saw what's happened in the past 2 when someone comes out early. You know, Islam head kicks him in the first round, knocks him out there. And then Topuria didn't even come at him early, really. He just kind of was patient in the first, and then in the second, he kind of put the pressure on him and still knocked him out, dude. When you put the pressure on Volk, he doesn't seem to really know what to do besides back up, dude. And Diego Lopes comes out round 1, shot out of a fucking cannon, dude, throwing hooks, knees, elbows. Dude, he is an absolute animal in that first round and continuing on until the rest of the fight. You know, he just fights, and it doesn't matter if he's tired or not. He's still winging everything he has. So for me, D Rose, there's 2 things. I watched the countdown first, and I like this combination that Diego Lopes is throwing. It's like straight or like cross, knee, and then he leans to the side and then throws this elbow. And if Volkanovski does his jab straight that he always does in every single fight, dude, if Diego Lopes leans and fucking throws the elbow, dude, I think he catches Volk, and I think he knocks him out, dude. So for me, I think Diego Lopes knocks out Volk with an elbow in round number 2. Let's go, Diego Lopes, and new featherweight champion of the world. It's cool seeing one of the fighters that I actually got to meet. You know, one of the first fighters I ever met. It's cool getting to see him fight for the championship, dude. Because met him last Noche UFC. So not this one in the Sphere, but 2 years ago when it was at the T-Mobile Arena. I saw him walking through the hotel lobby, and I was like, Diego, dude, no one had any clue who he was because I think he had only fought Gavin Tucker. It was after the Evloev fight and after the Gavin Tucker fight. So it was like before he's kind of went on his like fucking run, but I saw him there, him and Alessandro Costa. Didn't really speak any English at all, but super cool guy, just super humble. And just, dude, if he wins, it'll be such a feel-good story. You know, just seeing where he came from 2 years ago, coming off the Contender Series, losing there, taking a short notice fight against Movsar Evloev, and then now look at him, dude. It would be absolutely nuts to see him win this title. So for me, I'm going Diego Lopes, round 2 knockout. How about you, man?
Yeah, I think this fight, it's hard to break down because, you look at Volkanovski and where he's at now, and, you look at the last couple of performances and it has been tough, but you always look at his resume and, who he's beaten and what he's done to this point. And, one of the greatest of all time, no doubt about it. And I think for Diego Lopes, a young contender coming in full of momentum right now, even having a loss to Movsar Evloev, was able to leapfrog Movsar Evloev to get the title shot because Diego Lopes has been so electric since he's, came in, since he's made his debut, and even gave Evloev the toughest fight that Evloev has had. I would say maybe Aljo has been his toughest fight since then now. But yeah, for this fight, it's a great fight. I love it because it's either, hey, Volk is back and he's here to stay, or now you have the new guard, Diego Lopes, who Diego Lopes hasn't really seemed like a guy to me who's wanting to move up in division. He wants to stay and continuously defend the belt. So I love it'll create more order for the division. I think for Volk, man, his last couple fights, obviously he's been chinned. Man, I think for where he's at now, the time off has been great. But I think for all the damage that he's taken, I don't know how much the time off is necessarily going to help versus where I think Diego's got, a lot of momentum right now. He's got power in his hands. He's got the explosive ability. Obviously, Volk, as a technical fighter, is a much more technical guy with the striking and everything. But I do think that Diego Lopes comes in. I think he lands a big shot in the second round. I think Volk is able to avoid the big shots early. I think it'll kind of look similar to the Ilya fight, where Volk won the first round in that fight, and he looked good doing it. Was jabbing Ilya plenty of times, had Ilya's nose busted open, but Ilya backed Volkanovski up to the fence and was able to land the big shot. Islam was able to back Volkanovski up against the fence and was able to land the big shot. And I think Diego Lopes does the same thing. I think he lands a big punch. I think he follows it up with some ground and pound, and I think he gets Volk out of there in the second round. So give me and new featherweight champion Diego Lopes come Saturday night.
Fair enough, dude. I just want you to know, dude, I had it ready. I didn't tell you, but if you didn't pick him, I was ready. I was ready. I was gonna be like, "How dare you? How dare you? You're getting it off right here. Bring the glippers."
Damn, ripped it right off my head, dude. Like, damn. I mean, you didn't even let the glue set in or nothing. Damn.
Yeah, but hell yeah, dude. I'm glad that you're with me, man. And to be honest, we only really have, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, am I going to be putting a lot of money on the fights that we're picking against? Maybe on the Reyes Krylov under, but dude, me and you pretty much got the same reads on this entire card, aside from here and there. I'm probably not going to be betting Pitbull like versus Yair just because it's like, dude, this is kind of just like wait and see. Where's Pitbull at in the UFC? And Sumer Darji, Mitch Raposo, dude. Yeah, let's not pretend like that's the best fight on the card. So with that being said, that's all the picks and the predictions for us here on the show. Our podcast play of the week, we told you guys what it was earlier in the show, but I'll pop it up here again because we already got it played. It is Verna moneyline and Sean Woodson 3-or decision. I did go ahead and put a 20 on it. 20 to win 60-17 at it's exactly plus 200 right now too. So hopefully we can hit that on the second week in a row and about 8 of the last 10, something like that. Because we've only lost a few of these. And one more little nugget that I have. I do have my most confident plays on the card already parlayed up, and I went ahead and gave it to you guys right there. Marco Tulio money line, Mikhail Shajek money line, Verna money line, and under 2.5 for Nikita Krylov and Dom Reyes. That's plus 435. $15 on that wins back 80-34. What do you think about that one, D-Rose?
Yeah, no, I like that. I would say all the fighters that I picked, and I do think that the Krylov and Reyes fight ends in some sort of finish some way. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, man. So that's my 2 plays. Hopefully, D-Rose is agreeing with me this week. So is that bad luck? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out.
Because I 1000% have cursed plenty of them. So yeah, don't let me drag you in the mud this week.
Yeah, but with that being said, yeah, fun show today. Recap Vegas 105. Had some UFC news and fight announcements. We gave you our picks and predictions for this upcoming weekend. We gave you I'm not going to say guaranteed lock for this weekend at plus 200, but I mean, shit, dude, we're rolling at this point. So,
Cooking.
Feel free to go ahead and play our podcast play of the week. And, me and D-Rose both feel the same about the other bet that I had made this week. So, feeling good about it. So 3 different picks on this card are Sumu Darji versus Mitch Raposo, Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes, and Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. So even though D-Rose the pick champ over there, he's not leaving me any wiggle room to pick any of the fights this week because basically pick the same on most of the fights this weekend anyway. So those will be the 3 different ones for the pick champ over D-Rose's shoulder this weekend. But aside from that, anything else here this week, D-Rose?
No, I think we're all set and good to go. Let's come in and try to make some money this weekend, boys. We'll see y'all Friday for a change of cheddar.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Does Diego Lopes versus Evloev 2 happen at 320? I don't want to see Evloev fight for no title, dude. That dude's boring as hell.
Yeah, I'd like to not see Evloev fight for the title, but he's almost gotten to the point to where he's undeniable because I mean, who else is going to be next?
Yeah. Are you guys going to come to UFC Atlanta? I'm not going to count it out, Antoine. I'm going to need to hit a couple parlays, pay for the trip. I doubt D-Rose is. He has 2 children.
Yeah, highly unlikely. But I am with Matt that like if I was to go, it would have to be because some parlays came through for me to where I clutched some stuff out.
Also, I always wanted to ask, who was y'all's favorite rapper growing up? I think you're going to like mine, Antoine. What about you, D-Rose?
BIGPOPPA, no info for the DEA. Definitely Biggie Smalls. But yeah. I had a bunch of favorites, but gun to my head for one, definitely Biggie.
Yeah, for me, it was always Ludacris. Ludacris was my favorite rapper growing up. I don't know why. But even before that, the first CD that I ever got, dude, listen to this. So my dad used to have a roommate way back in the day, right? And he like something happened. He like fucking gave me like this fucking CD case, and inside of this fucking CD case had an orange CD that was Twista Kamikaze. So I was a Twista fan real young too.
I like it. Twista out of all people to have his album. But I mean, everybody loved the fast spitting that he did. So
yeah.
Twista was a good rapper.
He had the song "Hopeful" on there from the movie Mr. Carter. 'Cause I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and music, take me away. 'Cause be hopeful.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I know it's easy, but it's so good.
It's like the end of the movie song. Right. I got it.
I don't even fucking know where it plays at in the movie, if I'm gonna be honest. I just know it from the album. And I know it was on there. All right, Psych, give me Nasty Nas all day. All right, fair enough. We're going off mediocrity. I would like to see Mobsar start using merit more in title fights, like rifle contender over stars. We see Sean got a title shot. Yeah, maybe. So with that being said, it's going to be all for the show today. Catch us on Friday right here for Change the Cheddar on the podcast. Me and D Rose will have the cheese wheel set up, give you our favorite bets on the card. We're going to spin it, make us pick, all that good shit. So Friday here, 10 p.m. East Coast time on the Golden Octagon. Catch us one last time. Our final picks, our final preview. We're going to have some bets, and I'm going to have some parlays cooked up for y'all for Change the Cheddar. So with that being said, my name is Matt. D Rose on that cyber screen. This was the Golden Octagon MMA podcast. And tonight will be the night that I will I'm just kidding. We'll catch you guys Friday for Change the Cheddar. Catch you guys later. Peace.